back, guys. We're getting a early morning start today. I'm gonna try to comb the woods and catch up with the herd, check on the trail campsite and the drama that's been happening around it. And we're gonna try to find a couple of spots to set up some snares for the shed hunt. It's about 40 degrees outside right now, so all of this snow is starting to melt. It's going to be 40s today, mid to upper 50s tomorrow. So tomorrow after work I'm planning on coming out and putting in whatever time I can as far as checking on the sheds, with the goal of getting at least one side of HB's rack, praying for two. So the shed hunt is a point of focus right now. Conditions are just about prime for it. As you can see here, there's still a lot of snow on the ground, which makes things difficult to spot, but most of the snow could be gone by tomorrow. I'm hoping it is. There's still a couple of inches here in the woods, so it's going to take a while for it to melt, even with the temperature up in the 50s. I'm sure there's still going to be some patchy snow tomorrow, but come Tuesday or Wednesday, a lot of this should be cleared out, and finding sheds would be a lot easier. Right now, I'm just kind of walking along, following deer trails, looking for a good place to set up some snares, and I'll show you how we set those up. The snare idea is basically a rack trap. Put down some bait. You can use chicken wire or other wire, string it across, and then whenever the deer lowers their head, they get the rack hooked up on that wire. It pulls them off nice and easy. The deer don't get hurt, and you have a good spot to check for tines that had dropped off. The deer get a treat out of the deal, so you're kind of paying them for the rack. We're going to try to find a couple of spots here, if we can find a good highway, a good trail that they run through, and set up some of those snares. Got some bait in the backpack. Whenever we get to that point, I'll show you how I set mine up, and then all I have to do is come back and check the spot. I got like 3 or 4 does right up ahead of me here. I don't see any bucks. Can't make it out. Well, there might be one buck in there. Yeah, there's definitely one buck in there. Let's take a peek. Well, there's the buck. Still got his rack on him. Looks like a maybe 6 or 8 point. If he's up here, HB might be up here too. I need to get a better look at him. I wish he'd step out from around that tree. That other one's a little buck too. So these are the boys. That'd be the small one. And the medium one, HB must have dropped down the ridge. So we found a spot right over on the next ridge where the buck's been bedded down at. It'd be a good spot to put up a snare, because they move away whenever I start getting closer. Then, oh, there's HB. There we go. Now I'm going to let them walk real nice and casual like that. And then I'm going to go up there to that spot where they were bedded down. And we'll put up a snare right there. They'll come back to that section if they want to. At least we know the racks are still on them. The direction they're headed right now is straight back towards the trail camp. So let's move on over there. We'll take a look around that ridge, and then get a snare set up and get out of that area. Moving real slow. So the boys are just up ahead. They're still very slowly moving down the ridge. So what I want to do is kind of angle off from them. And alright, the boys are very slowly moving along the ridge. So what I want to do is kind of angle off from them, go almost in the opposite direction, the opposite angle, which Alright, the boys are very slowly making their way along that ridge. They're heading straight back towards the trail camp. So what I want to do here is I'm going to go a little bit different direction where I'm walking away from them. And then I'll come up to the spot there where they were bedded down. And that's where we'll set up our first rack trap. See if we get down here past this little creek. They were bedded down right here on the top of this other ridge, so I'm going to drop down here the creek, go up there, find a good spot to put up a snag. The boys are going to be right in front of us, about maybe 100 yards. This is actually a pretty good spot because they got this access to water. By tomorrow this thing's going to be flowing. They'll come down in here to get drinks. And I can see tracks where they were crossing the ice, coming up this other side. So this is going to be fairly easy access as far as putting the snare up. I just walked into the woods, ran into the boys all the way up here. Let's see if we can find the spot where they were laying, and see if we can find a couple of trees where we can rig up the snag. Alright, they're still standing up there watching me, which is good. Got a lot of tracks in the snow here where they were moseying through. Now what I'm looking for is where they were actually laid down, and I should see an imprint in the snow where they were laying here, and that's going to be right up here. What they're doing is they were bedded down right here in this little cluster. Here's one bed right there. The other two were laying over here where they got a little cover. So we know that they're bedding right here. I can actually see them just down the ridge down there. So this is going to be our first spot for a snag. And I want that snag set up in a spot where it's kind of camouflaged. So I'm just going to let them sit right down there. Another of them was bedded right here. It looks like he's having a bad day. This section right here wouldn't be bad, but the trees aren't close enough together for real. Could use this down limb here. We got another bed right here. They've been bedding down in this area heavy. There's a bed there. There's a bed there. There's a bed there. So this is a hot spot for bedding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these two small trees right here. This is going to be our first snag. And it's camouflaged with all that. So if the racks fall right here, it's going to be hard for anybody to spot them. So let me get this set here real quick, and I'll show you how we're going to do this. We'll just set that up right like that. So I got a 2 bags with me today. One of them's still in the truck. This one here is just for what I'm doing out here as far as the shed hunt goes. Now what I want to do first is I'm going to just take some regular wire. I'm going to run it between these trees. Then I'll lay the bait down right in the middle of the wire. So what happens is whenever the deer come down to grab the bait, the rat gets hooked up on the wire and it can snag and have them drop right here. It's kind of like setting a trap. It's not going to hurt them any. They're not going to get tangled up in it or anything like that. They'll be able to pull right out of it. But whenever they do that tug, it might get the rack right off the top of their little heads. That's what we're aiming for anyway. So this is going to be the first setup here. So I don't need this very high off of the ground. Want it up a little ways. The more wire you got up, of course, the better chances you got of snagging. And like I said there earlier, you can actually use chicken wire or any kind of wire to do this setup. I'm just using this little spool of wire. It's got about a 25-pound test before it'll snap. So like I said, it's not something that's going to hook them up where they're going to get stuck or trapped or anything like that. But I do want to make sure it's secure to these two trees where I get a good tug on them before they actually break the wire. And we'll see if we can get a rack off. Again, all I'm doing here is attach the wire right there. I'll run it across to this other tree over here, just back and forth right here between these two trees, this one and this little sapling over here, and we'll see if we can snag us a rack. Alright, y'all, can you see that? That's all I'm going to do. So I'll have the bait back there a little bit, like right underneath the wire. They'll go in there to get that bait whenever they bring their head up. Rat gets caught up on the wires, drops them right off. Having this limb back here helps too, because it could get knocked up on that. So all I'm going to do here now is I got my bottom wire right there. It's about maybe 2 feet off the ground. I want them to have enough room to get their head in there and be able to get the snack that I'm leaving them, but the rat gets caught up as they do it. So I just took a really delicious apple. I'm going to throw that up on in there, just like that, just behind the wire and just below it. Now back them down in the snow a little bit, so they have to kind of dig for them. Just like that. We want them to put in a little bit of work, because the more they have to play around this area, the better chances we got of snagging this rack. So just have it real close to the wire, just like that, and behind it where they actually have to reach in and grab it. Now there's no guarantee that they're actually going to come off if they're still pretty stable on top of their little heads. We'll come out here and the apples will be gone, but there won't be a rack here. If they happen to be a little loose, then this could be the thing that tugs them right off. So we got the apple down there, and now all I'm going to do is take a little molasses and spread it around too, which helps bring them in. I'll smell this shit from a mile away. Just a little drizzle of molasses in there on top of those apples. Just like that. That's all we need to do. And we'll be moving on, setting up another snare somewhere else. Now the boys are still up in front of me, and I don't want to spook them out of the area. I want them to come right back in here and lay back down. So I'm going to go out the way that I came in, walking away from them. This is a hot spot bedding area. Here's another bed right there where one was laying. So what's happening is all them damn coyotes and that other guy up in here shed hunting done spooked him up here all the way to the front of the woods. We found where the boys have been bedding at. We got the snare and the bait put out. See if we can snag up their racks. And now that we know where they're at, we know where they're bedded. I'll move away from the area, same way we came in. That way I'm not pushing them further to the south. So what I'll do now is I'll come back up here to the north, start making my way west, and I'll loop around them. Same strategy that the deer use. They'll run a big circle around you, come back where they started. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back in, out the way we came in, and then we're going to go to the other side, go back down to the south of the woods, so those boys come right back up to where they were bedding at before. And they run right into that snag and those apples. And since I'm so close to the front of the woods, it's going to be easy to come in here after work. It's, 5 minutes from my truck, like literally right along the side of the road, right at the front of the woods here. Check that snare out and see how well we did. Good deal. Alright, since we already spotted the boys, we know that we don't have to come in here and spend a lot of time shed hunting. We know where their rack is at, and it's still on top of their little heads. So what we want to do today, instead of like canvassing the woods and just do a bunch of aimless wandering, leaving our scent all over the place, is avoid them. Don't put any stress on them or get them up moving too hard and heavy. And just find spots where there's heavy trail or a bedding area that we can set up some more snags. Someplace easy to remember too. You don't want to be setting snags up all over the woods, especially a woods this size, and not remember where the damn thing's at. So my next mission is to get on up to where our trail cam's at. We got that site baited and ready to go. We have not got a lot of activity at that site, so we're going to try to pick that up a little bit. We're going to reset the area, put a snag in there and some fresh bait, see if we can get a little more activity down on that section. The more snags we have out here, the more chances we have of getting one of these sheds. All we have to do is come out, check the wire every now and then, make sure that it didn't get snapped by the racks being on too heavy, and then throw down some new bait so they come back and get some more, and we repeat that process. No different than trapping, really. You're putting out a snare, you're putting out some bait, but instead of actually getting food or killing an animal or anything like that, all you're trying to do is retrieve the rack. So that's what we're doing. We're trapping racks. So our boys are somewhere up in that area over there. They're staying down. There's a ridge there. It drops down into a bit of a drainage creek. We can't really call it a creek because it's only flowing like after the snow starts melting or after a heavy rain. But they're staying down there in that little valley there, probably trying to get out of the winds. So I made a big old loop. Since I know they're over there, I came all the way over here and then wrapped around and came back, and now we're coming up to the trail campsite. So I know they're over there. I just ran a big old loop around them, and if they hear me fucking around over here, they're gonna go right back up to where they were bedded down at, right into that snare. They're gonna smell that molasses and apple I put out. Coming up through here, I'm getting pretty close to the trail campsite, but I still ain't seeing a lot of tracks in this area. Now this is only a few hundred yards north of where we had the trail cam set up at that hot spot where we've been filming all year long, and then the spot just died. Now I've been thinking that the reason the spot died is that other shed hunters came in here, put something on that spot like a deterrent, and push the herd off. Might be his activity in this section of the woods. Whenever he comes in here trying to track these deer down, he always seems to be staying in one section. Like he don't really want to explore deep into the woods. He's just kind of skimming the edge of it a little bit. His primary search area is off to the east. So between his activity, whatever the hell it is he's doing out here, and the damn coyotes that are bedded down in this area, we just have been having all kind of trouble with this being our spot for the trail cam. But rather than just moving it off, I've been fighting to try to get a hot spot up in this area again, even though now I know the deer are down there. A little bit warmer weather coming up, they might come back down to this area to bed down after the warm-up comes. Check this out. We got a woodpecker here, and that sumbitch has been hard at work. Look at all those wood chips. He's just pecking that out. Those are pretty good sized chips. He's knocking the shit out of it. Man, he's busy little bee. Now, just on the other side of that, we got some tracks all over the place here. Looks like we do have some deer tracks in here. This is a busy spot right here. Busy spot. They've been coming up in here doing something right here. And our trail cam is just up the way there. This is a hot spot right here. If anything, we might be moving the trail cam here. Check this out. That's a fresh rub. He's still been scraping on that. That's still loose. Let's see what kind of activity went on up here by the campsite. And we're gonna keep this hot spot in mind. We do have a heavy trail leading out of here. Kind of see where it goes. I go over here real quick. It looks like I might have another scrape over here. It's a little late in the year for this kind of thing. And I'll be damned if there ain't another one right there. That one's a little bit lighter, but it still has some grain that's loose that ain't been knocked off yet. Breeze is picking up. It's kind of, my hands going over there. I have to fix that up here soon. I got my gloves with me, but it's hard to film with gloves on. Just gotta make our way around here. See my old tracks. Just reading the floor for side. So what I'm kind of doing right now is just sneaking up on the cam. A lot more activity up in here. I mean, kicking up. Here's our trail campsite. See all that black in there? That's that black magic powder I put down. I do have some tracks up in here, but they look old. That black magic, that's gonna start smelling come tomorrow. It did help the snow melt some. Let's see if we got anything new on the old cam. Get my password in here. We'll get this all reset. Alright guys, the good news is that over the past couple of days I went from having no footage on the trail cam at all to having 45 clips on the trail cam. The problem with that is almost every single clip on the cam is from a damn coyote that came up in here trying to get the bait. So the coyotes are staying right here in this area, and they just happen to be staying right where I put all this black magic down. So I got a bit of a debate here, and my deciding factor is this right here. I have the black magic down, but right here is one of the apples that I left out trying to bring the deer in, and the deer didn't come up in here and get the apples. The deer didn't come up in here for the black magic or the apples. So I'm thinking those coyotes are just keeping them further to the north, and I'm thinking it's time to move the trail cam further on up that way. We know the boys are staying on the other side of that ridge over there. I had the trail cam back there at the hot spot until all of the activity at this section just killed that spot. I moved it up here. We've had it up here for a couple of weeks now, and we got a couple of clips of does on there, but the herd they're just not here. So there's no point in keeping the cam here whenever we can move it on down the ridge there, find a nice little spot to tuck it away and rebait the cam there along with the new snare. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. I'll go ahead and pull that off, get down that ridge there, see if I can find a second spot where they bedded down, and then we'll reset the trail cam down there. So I went ahead and pulled the trail cam. I know my boys are right up in that area up there, so I'm going to head down this way, push them back up to where I put that first snag at. And I still want to avoid that area. I don't want to be going right back up in there where they were bedded down, but I do need to get to the bottom of that ridge over there where they've been staying, and see if we can find a couple other spots to put some snags out and reset the trail camera. There's the old trail cam site. You can see all that black on the ground there, and I had this here hanging up in a tree, and basically what this is it's a slow drip. It's a old sock filled full of sea salt and molasses and apple. Hang that up in a tree, it spreads the scent, and they come up here and they can bat it around and get the salt out of it and the molasses out of it, but that stays up top where coyotes can't get to it, and they really can't pull it down. I just tie an old sock up there with some bait in it, and that just hangs there, wafting that smell around a little bit further in the woods. Really no different than spreading your attractant up on the trees to spread the scent. So I went ahead and pulled this down. We'll put some fresh apple and molasses in there, in that salt, and this is basically a salt patch. We'll put some fresh apple and molasses in there and hang it up at our new site, see if it helps us out any. This section of the woods, guys, I don't know. I mean, it might be all the factors coming together. The wind's coming in, that guy coming up in here walking around all the time, and that damn group of coyotes, which is a mom and two pups. I mentioned this in an earlier video. Coyotes do not run in packs. If you see more than one coyote together, it's a mom and her pups. So I got a mama and two of her pups that happen to come into this section of the woods. I've encountered them a couple times. Now I got the trail cam full of footage. It looks like mama's on there, and I'm really happy to have that footage. I mean, I want to be able to take a good look at her, and I got a good look at her on this set. But at the same point in time, coyotes are not what I'm out here trying to film as far as the wildlife goes. It's the whitetail. We spent a lot of time with this herd, and now we got all these different factors coming in that are stressing the herd out and pushing them further to the north, which pushes us further to the north. That's just where we're at today, guys. So right up here where I could be able to drop down the ridge. Once I get down there at that bottom, then I'll start focusing on the forest floor again and trying to find trail, trying to find bedding areas, things like that. We're going to set up a couple of more snags at least and get our trail campsite set back up in a new spot. Now remember back there, whenever I was heading up to the trail campsite and I found that hot spot where they just been in there digging around, what they were doing was in there getting acorns. It was underneath an oak. But that's only a few yards away from where the trail cam was at before. They're in there getting acorns, but they're not staying put. And it's real close to where them damn coyotes are coming in, pushing them off anyway. So there for a second, I thought it might be a good idea to set the cam up there and see if that hot spot is, really active, if they've just been coming in there hot and heavy. But I'm trying to get away from them damn coyotes and trying to get away from this guy that's been wandering through here all this damn time. We're going to drop down in here a little ways and do some tracking along the creek. I do have signs of deer coming up through here. It only looks like one or two. It's not a heavy trail, and they're kind of sporadic. Pretty good sized prints, so it might be the boys. But they'll be coming down to this little creek for water every now and again. So if we walk along that creek and find us a bedding area, that might be a spot to set up the trail cam again and maybe get a snag out. So the boys are somewhere between me and the north end of the woods up there. And I want to keep them in that same general vicinity while I get down here and find a proper spot to set up another snag. And I don't really want to go too far up into that corner up there where we ran into them at. I got the snag set up at their bedding area. We're going to leave that there. That'll be the north snag. We're going to come down here to the creek where they'll probably come and get water. And this will be the south snag. And from there, we're going to head straight west. We're actually going to be moving away from their stomping grounds. Head straight west and see if we can come up with something over there on the west side. So we'll have three snares set out along with the trail cam. We'll have a north snare, a south snare, and a west snare. And the only reason I'm not putting a snare off to the east is because the north and south snares are pretty much the east side of the woods. We're going to do kind of a triangle. North up there, south down here, west will be somewhere in the middle, up on the west side of the woods. I didn't really see a lot of activity up there over the past year, but we're going to go ahead and set one up there anyway. Maybe there's a couple of bucks over that way that we just ain't encountered yet because I didn't spend enough time in that side of the forest. Alright, I got a rub up there. I got a heavy trail coming down to the creek down here. You have a bit of a brush pile. Yeah, we got a pretty good trail coming through here. Looks like they're moving east to west right through this area. Let's see if we can find us a spot to put a snag right in here. Where they'll be coming down here trying to get water. And use this trail to our advantage. I think this triangle here might be a good spot to put a snag. We got the trail coming down the hill. It goes on up that way. We got a water source right here where it could be coming down in here to drink. I think we could use this triangle. The only problem is it's right in a wash, and when this starts melting, it's just going to flush all my bait down that way. So, okay, that's not a good idea. Let's try this other side over here, see what we can find. I'll try to get to a little bit higher ground where it's not a washout. You see this trail going up through here? I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to make it out, but it's a pretty heavy trail. Well, I tell you, even with the water source right here and the trail running through, man, I'm just not happy with this spot. Something feels off about it. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it's a pretty wide open area. We got some down trees here that we could use. Something just don't feel right about it. Like I said, I'm not sure what it is. Oh, looks like I might have a spot up here. Across this damn creek. We have some more tracks coming up through here. That's okay. So it's still a traffic area. I do have a rub right here too. I might have had 2 rubs. So this might be okay, I suppose. I got a rub right there. And I got a rub a couple yards over here. Got some pretty heavy trail going through there. I don't want to overthink this. And I do have a good spot right here where we can do a snare. Got tracks crisscrossing right here. Got the water source down there. A little bit of brush pile. These 2 saplings right here, just perfect distance apart to put a snare in here. So we're going to set one up right here too. This will be our Schaus snare. It's pretty much the same deal as before, guys. Just running some wire between these 2 saplings. Wrap it around pretty good at the top. We're just going to kind of crisscross it. There's enough room for the rack to get in there. Got it kind of taut, but not too taut. All we're trying to do is snag them up, so it don't take much. And the wire on opposite sides of each turn is a little more depth. Every once in a while there. There we go. That's our next snare. Now whenever I get down to the bottom of these, I always want to make sure that this end wire right there is pointed down and away from the center of the snare. That way the deer don't get poked. Try to keep it as close to that tree as I can. Just kind of tuck it in there. I don't want them getting stabbed up on it. But that's all you need. A little loose wire there. 25 pound, not enough to get them caught up for good, but enough to grab that rack whenever they're in there trying to get the bait. We'll put some apple and molasses down here. Then we'll be moving on to the next spot. Alright, so there's our second snare. Again, just apple and molasses. Got the wires right there so they come in and get those apples snagged up as they come back up. Now Now we got that done. Our next mission is to find us a spot to set the trail cam up where we can get some good footage of the deer and not the damn coyotes. On my old tracks here, trying to stay in my own footsteps and not just trudge all over the woods. I got another scrape right here, a little bit older, but I do have deer tracks all over this area too. Just trying to find a good angle maybe to have the trail cam up here. We got scrapes everywhere right here, so the bucks have been active. Looks like it got a crossroads in there. This might be a good spot. Trick of it is, I have to have some sort of big tree or a landmark so I know where the cam is at. And I really don't have that right here. Everything pretty much looks the same. I need something that'll give me a clue on where to find this thing if I put it here. Alright guys, new spot for the trail cam. We got it rigged up there with a pretty wide range of view. A lot of activity, a couple of rubs up there on the tree, so the bucks have been up in here and been active. As I was setting the trail cam, I was actually strapping the cam down to the tree. One of them damn coyotes ran just off to the east of me there, about 50 yards away. He went up in that section up there. So there's no getting away from the damn coyotes. We're not too far away from where I put that snag up for the boys. I'm probably going to go ahead and bait this area, and I might go ahead and put a snag up just down the way there, since there's so much activity here. We'll get set up here and see what the trail cam comes up with up in this section. Just like you've seen me do at the last site, just taking a couple of the ripe apples that I have with me and putting some apple juice on the tree there. Now I'll spread that around our filming area, and we'll get some molasses out. Hopefully that'll bring them up into this section and we can get them on film. Doing this right here is just spreading some scent, really. It doesn't give them any treat or anything to go on, but they'll come up here and sniff it some. It's just carrying the scent through the woods a little bit further than just laying on the ground. I throw these apples down into the snow. The snow's just going to freeze them. Deer won't be able to smell them as hot and heavy, but they'll sure smell that damn molasses just fine. So we'll go ahead and cut up some more of these apples here. Spread some molasses around. See what we can get up on the cam. Alright, we got the trail cam all set up back there. We're going to go ahead and get out of the area. But as I'm leaving the area, I want to make sure that I pay attention to the landmarks, kind of trees that are around me, things that are on the ground. Because everything's going to look different after the snow melts. It's just going to appear a little bit different. I need to remember where that cam's at because I'm not all too familiar with this, being this far up north in the woods. And you don't want to just set your trail cam out anywhere. You got to be able to find the damn thing. So, like I said, just paying attention to my ins and outs here, so I can get in here. I can check the cam in a hurry if I have to. I'm not at the backside of the woods this time, so it'll be a lot easier getting in here checking cam footage like after work or something like that. Whenever I have very little daylight to work with, I'll be able to run back here, grab that footage, and move on pretty quickly. Got a little rabbit coming up through here. Still watching them tracks. I ain't seen the boys in quite a while now. They might have moved over further to the west. Whew. It's about time to regroup. I've been out here for a few hours now. I got one more snare to put out here somewhere. We'll get another one rigged up. Easy to find snare, but I wanted a little further off to the west there. So we got north, south, west. We got a triangle of snares. Now we can come in here and check. Try to keep up with the shed hunt. See if we can snag us up something a little easy. Yep. Been busy this morning, but it's about time for a sit down here soon. A little bit of a scrape going on there. I got me a meadow right here. Easy to keep track of. Good trail going in and out. We might go ahead and try to set up a snare here. This might be a good spot. Now this is a little bit low-lying area. You can see the snow melt. It's got water underneath it. Some more sides rubbing right here. These two, that's too dead. I'll say these two would be a good spot to string up, but that there's too dead. They just knock it over on themselves. So I'll look around here, see if we can find a spot to put up this last snare. Those two trees right there might not be bad. Kind of a wide open space though. I kind of like having them hidden a little bit better than that. That way somebody's up in here snooping around, they have a harder time finding them. It's got to be pretty close to this trail. Don't need to be right on this, but it's got to be pretty close. This is a hot air trail. There's some scat. Just head up here to the top of the ridge a little bit. I wouldn't mind putting them up here in this hemlock grove. There's a hemlock grove up the way here. If I can get a snare put in there, and all of that kind of dark material that lays up underneath those hemlocks, just makes those racks pop right out. So you'd be a good distance away from them and be able to spot a rack in them hemlocks if they drop there. You got some right up there, but that's, I'm going a little different way there. Do have a thicket patch here that they might bed down in sometimes. Right now, guys, I'm just looking for a spot to set up my last rack snare. I'm kind of on the south edge of a thicket patch where they bed down in every now and then, but none too often. Be an easy spot to put a snare, I suppose. Oh, here we go. We do have a rub over here. See, I'm looking for sign. That almost looks like a bed right there. Well, one might have been laying in there. And I do have some tracks coming around this area. We have some scat right here. Good trail coming in and out. So, yeah, this might not be a bad spot. We could put them right between these two trees here. We'll just string that up. It's a good hiding spot for some shed. And then I can come in here and check them. A little bit of traffic in the area. Nothing too shabby. Yeah, I think this is going to be our last spot. Right on the edge of a thicket patch. Good tracks coming through here. It's a good spot to set them up. Easy in, easy out on checking it. So let's set up right here. Okay guys, our last rack snare is out. And we're good to go as far as setting up for the shed hunt. New spot for the trail cam. Aside from that south snare that we have to walk back and check, there's a little bit more easy access to the trail cam and the first two snares up here. So I can, maximize the time that I have whenever I get off of the day job, get out here and I can check those areas in and out real quick, and it's no fuss. I don't have to stress so much about getting up to them and finding them and all of that other shit. I could come out after work, it'll be in and out deal. We'll come in, drop some new bait off, see if we got rack. If we don't, we just keep on and keep going like that throughout the season. Pretty good setup so far. I like how we got the forest set up with this. So now we're going to be heading down to camp, kind of regroup a little bit and do some things down there.